What's up, everyone? Press Reset Earth here. So today I'm going to talk about the flat Earth theory. Yes, it's been gaining popularity and a lot of momentum the past 6 months or so. And a lot of people are buying into this. And look, I've looked into the flat Earth theory. There's different models. But I've also looked into the other side of it, the more conventional globe theory, and that seems to make the most sense to me. And no, I'm not going to show you the fake CGI NASA photos. No, I'm not going to cite NASA in any way, shape, or form, or even any of these major institutions that are trying to control the scientific progress of humanity. Instead, these are things that you can actually test on your own in many cases. And also, a lot of this is also just sort of common sense knowledge that is something that you can measure quite often on your own, once again. Now, the first little scientific proof I want to get into here is the fact that the moon actually is inverted depending on which hemisphere of the Earth you're on. So if you're in the southern hemisphere as compared to the northern hemisphere, the moon is going to appear differently because you're looking at it from two different angles. You understand what I'm saying? Because the Earth is indeed a globe. This wouldn't work in a flat Earth model. There is no way to explain this in the flat Earth model, and this isn't something that you need to consult NASA to test for yourself. In fact, we have global communication now, and this is something that we can actually test. If somebody in the southern hemisphere was talking or video chatting with somebody in the northern hemisphere, they could actually look at the moon at the same time and test this. Okay, this is irrefutable proof that we are on a globe structure looking at the moon. Now, another thing that we can do to indeed at least logically assume that we're on a globe structure is to just go out, buy yourself a telescope. Any amateur astronomer can do this. And just look at the planets, okay? And you can see that they are indeed spherical, and some of them even have moons orbiting them. And you can see this with your own eyes in a telescope, in a halfway decent telescope that you can buy online for, a couple $1,000 or something. We could even look at the moon and the moon cycles, which is caused by light from the sun reflecting off the spherical object of the moon, and you can test this yourself with a golf ball, shining it in a light, and you can see that this is indeed a sphere you're looking at when it comes to the moon. And a lot of the flat earthers will say it's a disk, and you can disprove that by placing a disk in a light as well, and you can't get those same curved shadows that you see on the moon. Now, all that being said, simple logic allows us to assume that if all the other planets, which also have moons, if everything else in the sky is a sphere, why wouldn't the Earth be? I mean, it's totally illogical. How does that make any sense? It doesn't, folks. Now, another thing we need to take into consideration is the Coriolis effect. This indeed proves that we are on a spinning structure, and there is no debating this because snipers, for instance, and you can ask any sniper in the military, you don't have to go to a NASA website to figure this one out. They have to take into account the Coriolis effect when engaging in a long distance sniper shot, okay? And if they don't, they miss, okay? And this is 100% not debatable. And I even personally know guys that were in the Marines that can tell you that this is indeed a fact. All right, the Coriolis effect, you have to take it into consideration. And this is also why we see hurricanes and storm systems spinning in two different directions on each side of the globe, of each hemisphere of the globe. And this is why snipers have to take into consideration the location they are on the planet when factoring in the Coriolis effect, because it's different on different ends of the planet.
But have you ever just looked for yourself and figured out which way your toilet swirls? Here in Alabama, I've noticed that some turn counterclockwise and some go clockwise. You see, most toilets have little jets in it, so the swirl direction is determined by the design of the toilet and not which hemisphere you're in.
Little thumbs up. And look at the lips. 1, 2, and 3. Remember, here in the middle, the forces cancel out. So that's why here, no whirlpool, no vortex, the water falls straight down. Okay? This is in the middle. But now I'm gonna make just a didactic illustration for the south and then in north. Let's go to Australia. In Australia, there are cyclones. And those things like this. Ready? One, two, ¿lista?
Van a ver acá se va a crear el sentido.
One. Not a strong one, but the leaves are going clockwise sense. Cyclone, cyclone to the speed like this.
Allá es el sur. Sí, el sentido horario.
And this is south.
Vamos a ver que allá tiene sentido
Now,
antihora.
let's go north. Let's go to Canada. ¿Ya están listas? Listos, vienen al globo, por favor. You can see this every day with your home. One,
So big.
2, 3.
Go the other way.
The opposite way, counterclockwise. Hurricanes, tornadoes, you can see like this in the northern hemisphere. And remember, the natural effect is produced by the rotation of the Earth. And that is Coriolis effect, Coriolis acceleration. Great.
So weird.
I need to put the water again in the middle for the next group, and then we'll continue doing more examples.
Next, let's talk about this theory that you can't see curvature, okay? The flat earthers will always say you can never see curvature. This proves that the earth is flat. Actually, it just proves how small we are in comparison to the earth. It can be compared to a bacteria existing on a 40-meter diameter boulder, okay? Now, from the visual perspective of that bacteria, it may appear that you're on a flat surface because the curvature is so insignificant from your perspective. It may indeed appear flat, okay? And even that, as a piece of evidence in the first place, is completely rendered inert because depending on where you are on the planet, there's actually certain instances where you would see a concave if you were in a large valley compared to if you're looking at a very subtle hill in the distance. It may appear to be curved even on a flat Earth. So how does that even make any sense to cite that as any kind of evidence in the first place? And I'll also hear a lot of these flat earthers bring up the fact that even when you shoot a rocket into the air and film it, that you can't see curvature. Well, that's because the atmosphere goes up so very little compared to the gigantic nature of the globe that even if you were a bacteria and you raise a millimeter off that 40-meter boulder, well, it's still going to appear the same. You're not going to see much curvature in that case either. So that's what you're seeing there, even if you don't apparently see curvature. You know, it's something that truly amazes me, this whole flat Earth phenomenon that's blowing up, this theory that's just exploded in the alternative research community, because a lot of these researchers they don't cite anybody with a background in meteorology or physics or mechanical engineering or anything like that. And you know, you don't have to be an employee of NASA. You don't have to be you know, working for the New World Order to disprove these theories as a mechanical engineer or as a physicist or as a meteorologist. Okay, these are common sense things. Look, just because NASA lies doesn't mean we have to throw out all logic, all knowledge, all scientific trains of thought. This is a de-evolution, okay? Flat Earth, and here's the thing, I think it's a very, very sinister government COINTELPRO operation. I really do, because they want to devolve our progress, our human progress, our knowledge, right? Along with basically trying to demonize us. That's one of the agendas as well. I was reading an article the other day that actually compared flat earthers to climate change skeptics. This is what they're going to be preparing to roll out, okay? We've already been seeing the climate change propaganda, you know, being ramped up the past 6 months or so, and it just so happens to coincide with this flat earth theory exploding. And of course, so many of the flat earthers are indeed climate change skeptics as well, so it makes it very easy for the mainstream media to associate one with the other, therefore decrediting the climate change skeptics.
They've been talking down new sources of energy. They dismiss wind power. They dismiss solar power. They make jokes about biofuels. They were against raising fuel standards. I guess they like gas guzzlers. They think that's good for our future. We're trying to move towards the future. They want to be stuck in the past. And we've heard this kind of thinking before. Let me tell you something. If some of these folks were around when Columbus set sail, they must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round.